A move that is so massive for Bitcoin that we wait around for years for the move to happen, happening right now. As I do this video, I want to discuss and break down the macro weekly charts on Bitcoin, but I also want to discuss the implications of what it means even in the short term. And that short term for Bitcoin starts right here on the 4-hour. I want to discuss what's going on in the 4-hour. So hit the subscribe, hit the like, and let's jump into this. I want to first say, Bitcoin making its move, continued move to the upside. Bitcoin across all markets, it just looks like it is the most consistent and stable of charts across all markets. US dollar currency index, you can just see it looks like it wants to go lower. Stock market indecisive. What is going on right now with the stock market as we go into tomorrow's inflation CPI data release? Tomorrow morning, the next 24 hours, key for all markets and also important for Bitcoin to see how Bitcoin interacts with that data coming out. I want to start on the short term, talk about targets, where they are, and potential throwbacks and what that looks like. Then we're going to pivot to that crazy looking weekly bullish confirmation. Hit the subscribe, hit the like. I really, really appreciate all of your support, and let's do this. I want to start real quick with a very, very quick clip from yesterday's video, but there's been no short-term confirmations just yet. Right now, even Bitcoin 28,592. It's still at this upper trend line. There's been no really breakout of this consolidation pattern, but this is the pattern I'm watching as we approach the apex. Target to the downside once again 25,000. Target to the upside 32,000. Nobody knows. I just love that because it was almost immediately after I uploaded the video. I think even as I was doing the video, we were breaking the trend line, but almost immediately, Bitcoin broke to the upside. And we were approaching the apex, and it's a really nice move so far. And even just the fact that it just kind of gets this steady sideways consolidation at a certain point, right around $30,200, $30,300. Bitcoin's right there right now. It's all just such a nice formation. It's such a consistent formation. So a couple things. The first thing on the very short term, especially as we do go into this next 24 hours, I mean, less than 24 hours, that CPI data is coming out. What does the data look like? Number one, but even leading into it, how are markets reacting? And that includes Bitcoin. Is Bitcoin going to just diverge away and not care about the unknowns and just continue on to its target? Bitcoin to its target around $1,000 away from hitting that target. Either way, if there is uncertainty, some fear in the markets, maybe sometime today, this afternoon, tonight, Bitcoin it broke out of this consolidation pattern. And right now, what is in play already now is a throwback to the pattern, to the apex area, a throwback. We want to see continued separation from all of these areas, right? And this starts all the way from the trend line back here. We wanted to see separation, so there's room for the throwback. We got it. We got the consolidation. Same thing with these little patterns. We want to see separation and cushion for Bitcoin to fall and test these areas. And these are really higher low areas. So that area right now, the apex area, right around 28,200 or so, as Bitcoin is around 30,200. It's a $2,000 fall for Bitcoin. That's important to note. Now, if Bitcoin actually today keeps going to its target, I would anticipate and look for what happens at that $31,000 to $32,000 range, this next layup range. This next leg up range for Bitcoin. What happens there? Because then we start getting into this territory of, okay, and this is considering Bitcoin doesn't throw back first. We come into this territory of hits its target on the short term. Now there's a lot of cushion. And even beyond cushion, if we go to a daily chart, there's a lot of separation at that point from our key areas, the 20-day moving average, and especially from the 50-day moving average, $25,500 or $600 or so. From the 50-day moving average, there would be 24% overextension from the 50 moving average. On the daily chart, when we get into that 30% just cushion and overextension from the moving average, that's where we start anticipating some consolidation. And the consolidation at that point makes sense because Bitcoin, don't forget, if we zoom out, broke this pretty large rising pattern with a target of $40,000. We would all like to see Bitcoin just right to $40,000. But along the way, there are these massive kind of consolidations. Could a consolidation after hitting a target to the downside be in play for Bitcoin, especially if markets are just reacting to what's going on with the Fed or some headlines in regards to inflation, if it's reacting along with other markets to the downside, that's what's potentially in store. And I always anticipate throwbacks. It's not to be bearish or anything. It's just because it's what we see all of the time, right? So that would be if Bitcoin hit its target, and then there might be a throwback, or maybe if we zoom back in on this 4-hour chart, if Bitcoin just in the very short term decides, you know what, it's going to cool off right now before leading into tomorrow's CPI data. That's what I'd be watching today. What is the next move for Bitcoin, and is there support if Bitcoin does fall to the key support areas? Now, this all ties into, this short-term move ties very much into the charts on the weekly. And this is the big move, everybody. It's the 20-week moving average crossing above the 50-week moving average. It's right there. And if we look at this chart, what's so notable is just the fact that what it means, right? We know when the 20-day moving or 20-week is crossing below the 50-week, this brings us this bear market gap, right, between those moving averages where the 20 is below the 50. When we get the cross to the upside, the 20 above the 50, this is a bull market gap. And this is what we're looking for right now. And this is the beginning of it. This is something that we wait years for. We have to wait a whole cycle for this to happen, and it's happening right now. But what I want to note is not only the importance of it from a cycle perspective, meaning exiting a bear market, that's what's happening here. I want to talk about why it's important for downside moves. And I don't say that in a bearish way, but I think it's so important to approach crypto, and this is how I do it, approach it as a marathon, not a sprint. Just because we get this doesn't mean it's just green candle after green candle, green candle, green candle, all-time high. There's a lot of volatility along the way, and we can revisit previous cycles when this was happening to get an idea of what that looks like. Something to really take note of is if you look at, this is 2019, the very similar move that we're having right now, Bitcoin, you see this 20-day or 20-week crossing above the 50-week, there was still upside in play, but Bitcoin getting ready to kind of just kind of see its shorter term top, midterm top before consolidation. But look where Bitcoin is on the momentum oscillator. Just kind of right in this overbought territory, approaching overbought, breaking into overbought as it's getting the 20-day above or 20-week. I keep saying that. The 20-week above the 50-week. All the while, the stock RSI, quicker moving momentum oscillator, in overbought for a while. That is precisely what the weekly looks like right now. You can see the weekly today as we're getting the 20-week above the 50-week, Bitcoin approaching overbought, and also has been overbought in the stock RSI for a while. You go back to 2015, the 20-week crossing above the 50-week. Look at this. Bitcoin even then approaching overbought. Look at this quick consolidation actually, and then continuation to the upside. And you can just see Bitcoin not as overbought for as long, but still in the overbought territory on the quicker moving momentum oscillator. Cycles are repeating itself so amazingly, and it's happening in a world of such uncertainty. And that's incredible to me to see the consistency of these Bitcoin cycles playing out. So I wanted to really just keep in mind, though, when we're getting the 20-week moving average crossing above the 50-week, whether it's 2015 back here, Bitcoin pulled into the 20-week moving average to test it. Whether it's back here in 2019, Bitcoin pulled into the 20-week moving average to test it and actually failed, or right now, whether it's here, I'm anticipating a similar move. Maybe there's still upside. We look at upside targets, we know what they are, but I'd be anticipating a similar move where as Bitcoin's doing its thing on the shorter term, whatever that looks like, the 20-week being pulled into Bitcoin and Bitcoin being pulled into the 20-week. Where that takes place and what that looks like exactly, nobody knows. But I'm always anticipating the consolidation on the macro. I don't think we can sit here unrealistically, at least I don't like to, unrealistically think that Bitcoin's just going to keep going and we're going to start breaking all-time highs before any big consolidations. And the main consolidation for me that I watch is 20-week moving average consolidation. And where that happens, that's something I'll be evaluating on the longer-term zoomed-out charts. But here we are on the shorter term. Support right now, if there's a throwback for Bitcoin, it could even be this mental line of $30,000 on the very short term. But I'd be sticking with the technicals, and I would say, this area down here in the 28.5 to $29,000 area could be a consolidation area I'd be watching for Bitcoin. Back to the apex area, the upper trend line area of the previous consolidation for Bitcoin, if it doesn't continue to the upside and hit its target, another $1,000 or so to the upside. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below, everybody. Let's track Bitcoin. Let's see what it does. It's been a fun ride and journey to watch, even in the short term, in the last 24 hours or so. So we'll see what happens. Hit the subscribe, hit the like. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.